and welcome to the Sarah's community. This is Business Unusual. Welcome to our conversations today. And our conversations, you know, they always target the mind. It's like we're coming with this bazooka.
Yes.
And we want to just blow it on the mind because we want to break any mental barriers that keep us from fulfilling what God wants us to fulfill, or even enjoy the promises of God in our time. Now in TCC, you know, we will always have conversations and we always ask you to locate yourself so that you can hear and know what to do so that you can move to the next level. Our conversations are not about doctrine, information, knowledge. They are all about transformation.
Absolutely.
We want you to have an experience in the kingdom. We want you to say the word of God said this and I experienced it. God promised this and I actually walked in that promise. Why do we do that? Because we had to sit once upon a time and ask,
Yes.
in our day, do we have people who walk in what God has said? Because when you read the Bible, it was all about Joshua did and Daniel did and David did. Okay, wait, in our day, where are we doing, experiencing what God has
because
said?
the question was, we are talking of people's stories of their lives, but their lives are manifestations of interactions with God.
Yes.
We can't keep talking about their stories as if God stopped functioning.
And their stories are supposed to tell us and remind us, even in your day, God will speak. So what do we do? When you look at the life of David, we see patterns that now when we take those patterns, or the patterns in Abraham's life or Noah, those patterns, when we implement them in our day and walk in them according to the word God has given us today, we know surely we should be manifesting, we should be experiencing, we should stop explaining. That one we have said in TCC. Stop explaining God, experience Him. Have these encounters that you can say, you know what, I know Him. I know Him. This is not a story I'm reading, not somebody has told me. And that's why we have Kingdom Conversations. Every Wednesday, every Sunday, we come together to just talk so that we can make sure our lives match or mirror what God is saying. Yeah? So today, we want to talk about the deception of age. We want to look at how age can keep you trapped. And when we talk about deception, we are talking about how generational labels become mental prisons and how to break free out of these mental prisons. Talking about being trapped by age. Can you imagine? Can you imagine your age? Now, here we're talking numbers. So we are saying, I am 50-something. I am 20-something. That 20 you are talking about, it's not God. You are trapping yourself with that. Now, can you imagine going back and saying, wait, who doesn't say, this is my birthday? By the way, last week was my birthday. Next week is my birthday. That age you're talking about could be the trap. And that is what you're talking about. Maybe you can give us an overview?
Yes. I think to bring a kind of an introduction, that's the best way to put it, to what we want to talk about today, I want to give a briefing that many of you may already have an idea about, but it's important for us to contextualize where we're going to speak today. You see, Scripture tells us in Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinks, so is he. Now, while we know that statement in so many parameters, the applications are numerous. And today, we want to bring another dimension to it. The world has divided humanity into age-based classifications. We have boomers, we have Gen X, we have millennials, we have Gen Z, we now have Gen Alpha. In fact, we are going to Gen Beta. You know, at first glance, these look harmless. Even helpful, by the way. The truth is, beneath the surface lies a subtle mental trap. These labels have become identity frameworks. They shape how people think about themselves and they limit what they believe they can become. So today we want to expose the deception of this generational classification. That's why we're calling it the age deception, because it shows us that the kingdom has called us to rise beyond these time-based identities into renewed minds and a kingdom identity.
Well, it's a mouthful, you know. And when you talk about God has already called us into a place where we now know that my identity goes beyond what people have said or what I've called myself. So maybe you need to tell us why this matters.
All right. Let me tell you why this matters. You see, at first, everything I've said looks harmless. And I'm sure even if you're sitting there and I describe these things, you've already identified. I am a Gen whatever. All right? Now, the problem is that these are not just social categories. Actually, they have become mental boundaries. You now believe this is how my generation behaves. This is what people my age can or cannot do. And slowly, these labels stop being descriptions. They now become limitations. And that's what we're calling the deception. You see, when the era you were born in becomes the ceiling of who you can become, then we have an issue.
Well,
We have a serious issue.
we all said that if you go back, you'll hear what you said. There is the baby
Yes.
boomers. Of course, we have very few silent generation. That's the
Yes.
great-great-grandfathers, grandmothers. We have very few of those ones. So that's why we're talking about baby boomers.
Yes.
We're talking about the Gen X.
Yes.
We're talking about the millennials.
Yes.
Talking about Gen Z.
Yes.
We're talking about Gen Alpha. And of course, now we have Gen A and now Gen B.
Yes.
You know? But when you're talking about all this, do you notice you can identify yourself just by saying, wait, Gen X is what age to what age?
There you
Meaning,
go.
everyone will find themselves.
You fit in.
Nobody can say,
Yeah.
I don't belong.
I don't belong. No, you belong.
So when you talk about these groups, and you say there is a trap,
Yes.
first of all, tell us why this trap would be so serious if not defined, identified, acknowledged, especially when it comes to walking in the kingdom.
This is the problem. First of all, because, and for some reason, because we like belonging, we are social creatures. You want to fit into people
Yes.
with common experiences, common journeys, common activities. So when somebody tells you we are a Gen X, you feel comfortable around that grouping because you kind of are able to excuse the same issues. You're able to talk about common things that happened during your upbringing, common leaders that led when you were in high school, common subjects that were taught. So it gives you a sense of community. But the problem is that what this does, it moves you away from asking the question, who has God made me to be? Instead, you ask the question, what does my generation usually do?
So that question tells me
Yes.
that when I ask that, I'm
Yes.
looking at the parameters set by men.
Exactly.
I'm looking at what is acceptable.
Yes.
I'm looking at what culture has said,
There you
not
go.
what God has
There
said.
you
And I like
go.
what you said,
Yes.
that the question should be,
Yes.
God created me.
Yes.
For what?
Yes.
Why? Who has he created me to be? That's more important.
Yes.
But instead, we are now trapped. You know, you start seeing where we're talking about trap. Now, my generation,
Yes.
what do they usually do? What are you asking? You're saying that if I'm a Gen X,
Yes.
no matter how many millennials are around me,
Yes.
and they have solutions to my problem,
Exactly.
I will ask, listen, there's a way we do it as Gen X.
That's the issue. Now, here's where the problems really start.
Okay?
Because at this point, you've already outsourced your identity, either to culture,
Yeah.
either to a certain type of social behavior, either to groupthink, how a certain generation thinks.
Yes.
And now you already have this identity. Now, what begins to happen, even when you hear a word from God, you first choose to hear it as a Gen X.
Not as a son of God, because that's where we are going. We are going to find out who are we, sons of God. When God speaks, he is not speaking to generational groupings.
There you
No,
go.
he's talking to his sons.
Exactly.
Whether you're Gen Z
Yes.
or a baby boomer.
Exactly.
You're a son of God.
Yes. So a number of things begin to happen when
Okay.
I talk about all those issues, culture, social behavior, groupthink. This is what begins to happen. So when you hear a word from God, to begin with, you want to filter it and how it works for Gen X. How does it work for boomers? That part of a word is not relevant to us, Gen Alpha, because now it's almost like whatever generation you're in becomes the box that determines how much God can operate. It decides, God, this is the only wiggle room you have.
Yes.
You can't operate outside of this box. If you want to talk to us,
This
talk to
is
us
how-
as this.
So when you
one.
talk about, for example, Gen Z,
Yes.
and they say, you know what, this thing is for our parents, meaning
Yes.
this is for Gen Xers.
Exactly.
When they preach, this thing is for Gen Xers.
There you go.
Now, at what point do we, of course we are trapped already by generational trappings, but now how do we draw a line where we say, wait, this is culture, this is group thinking, this is what men have said, listen, this is God, this is the word of God.
You see, you can't even draw a line until you see the line.
Okay? Okay. Need to see the line
If you
first.
don't see the line, you won't even be able to begin to, like we say, a fish does not know it's in water. It's just in a normal world. You know the fish is in water. The fish does not know it's in water. The fish knows it's operating normally. There's no barrier called water to the fish. There is no place they can draw the line and say this is now water. No, that's what they operate in. Now, once you have this group think, you actually don't see a line. You think things should function from this scenario, number one. Number two, you now begin to judge people not on who they are, not on the grace they carry, not on the identity God has given them or their capacity. You first filter them through their generation.
Somebody brings you a word,
Yes.
a word from God, a word that has the power to get you out of your situation. But the first thing you say is, no, he's too young.
Yes.
No, she's too old. She's too old for me.
Yes.
Instead of hearing the word, now there's this
Yes.
barrier.
You don't even know it's there.
Okay, okay, fine. You're in this place. You think you're in your world.
And you see, once you've identified with something, nothing is wrong with your identity.
Yes. So when I see others, but I can
That's where
I can
things
look
are
at them
wrong.
and say they're too young.
Exactly.
I can see them, but I don't see
Exactly.
me.
What you're saying without saying, they are not a Gen Xer. You're saying without saying they are not a Gen Z. Therefore, they can't understand me. They can't talk to me. They can't direct me. They can't advise me.
Yes.
Because there's this mindset that depending on where you place yourself, if you place yourself at the Gen Xer position, that mindset, you operate from the point of we are the ones who've paid the price. We are the ones who've come through all the journeys and gone through all the problems. Therefore, there's a knowledge we have you don't have. Even while it may be true, but you must remember sometimes the knowledge you have was built on ignorance. So now you're defending something simply because you experienced it and because it's within the bracket of your generation. So if somebody suggests a different position to that, it doesn't make sense. In the same manner, when we come from one generation and the younger generation listens to us, they almost think you guys don't have it got together. You guys, you're operating from where you came from the fears you came from. You see now, what has happened, even when I give you a word, you hear a Gen Xer speaking. You don't hear a word?
Yes.
And even if a prophetic word comes from a Gen Z, you hear a Gen Z speaking. You don't hear a son of God. So we're already tied into these boxes, and these boxes become the new false identity that we are expecting God to come and operate in.
You see, this is serious because this gives you a false identity. Now, look at this. When you go to church as we know it, you will go to the, for example, the prayer warriors.
Yes.
The intercessors. You don't expect to find a Gen Z.
Automatically.
If there's a Gen Z, you're like, okay, wait, what are you doing here?
There you go.
No, this is for baby boomers, not even for Gen X.
There you go.
This is for baby boomers. Unless the church has more Gen Xers and baby boomers than
Yes.
Gen X, you'll find Gen Xers there.
There you go.
But intercessors is for Gen X
Yes.
and baby boomers.
Yes.
If you go and find ushers, now you'll find now millennials and Gen Zs. Even Gen Z yet, not even in the ushering. If you go and find the worship team,
Yes.
millennials.
There you go.
Even Gen X there, they are rare. They are rare. So worship team is for millennials. Now, when you go to the Sunday school and Sunday school activities, now you can give Gen Z some activities to do.
Yes.
Now, do you see even the church, as we know it, we have already been pulled into these traps. And we don't believe a Gen Z can stand up and give you a prophetic word.
There you go.
You take it serious. So even the church has entered the trapping. Now, listen, this trapping is a Babylonian thing.
You see, we misunderstood a description of people of a certain era and their experiences, and we now took what was a description and turned it into a definition. There's a big difference. Describing something doesn't define it, but now instead we are defining it. So what happens, you have this idea that if I'm born in the Gen X era, because that's what I would be classified, that's why I keep using the term Gen X. Okay? You would automatically decide that there are certain ways I think, and you will not listen different because you've determined a Gen X must think like this. A Gen X must speak like this. So you've already decided before I even say anything that is a Gen X way of doing things. So you've stopped being able to use your mind to check if what I'm saying is truth and not what a Gen X is saying. Do you see the trap now?
Okay.
Now where this trap even gets worse is that as an individual, you can decide to settle or defend mediocrity or even delay your purpose because of your generation.
Wow.
This is not what my generation does.
Okay, let's go back to those three things. People can decide to settle.
You can settle. Meaning, I'm not going to bother to do anything beyond this because my generation doesn't bother beyond this. Because, and you see people say statements like, at my age.
At my age.
That's a terrible
So
statement.
when you talk about people settling, there's somebody who says, you know what, I don't have children in school, so I'm settling here. I don't have to push. I don't have to dream.
There you go.
I don't have to see far because of my age.
No, let's even take it to a social structure. I shouldn't be bungee jumping at 60.
And when we see you doing that, we say, wow.
Why is he behaving like a
Gen Z?
That's a problem. You've classified actions to generations. You have pegged, why is he dressed like a? Why is he talking like a?
Why are you walking like a? Why are you going to places where only millennials are supposed to go? Why? Because you are a Gen X. A baby boomer should not be appearing here. Do you see what happens? And what happens
Those are the prisons we're talking about.
You said people settle.
Yes.
Now, please talk about the defend mediocrity.
I'm telling you, defending mediocrity is one of the worst scenarios that happen at the age level. So let me tell you, I can defend mediocrity. I am 62, therefore I cannot understand AI. That's defending mediocrity. Because it is for another generation. I am 16, 18. I don't need to read a lot.
Yeah.
Because now we have access to information. That's defending mediocrity.
I am a Gen Z, therefore I don't need to invest.
There you go.
Mediocrity. Well, the third thing you said was to delay purpose. Delaying
purpose. Because now you age peg outcomes and goals in life. You know, I will be married by 30. What has 30 got to do with marriage? I will build a house by 60. What has 60 got with having a house? Do you see how you delay things you could achieve today because you were told these things can only be achieved when you enter this age group? That's a problem.
So people settle, defend mediocrity, delay purpose, because it's not what my generation does. It's not about what God is saying.
Yes.
It's about, for example, in TCC, when you say good quality of life, you're like, you know what? Me as a Gen Z, I define that prophetic word as this, because as a Gen Z, I should not go that far. I'm still young.
There you go.
Somebody else is like, you know what? As a baby boomer, I'm hearing what you're saying. Good quality of life. But what good quality of life? Let me talk about my grandchildren.
Yes.
Let me talk about my children. It's not me. You know, and I think that's so powerful when you say defend mediocrity.
Yeah.
Because you could be living a life where you're defending mediocrity in the name of God.
Yes.
In the name of, you know what, God created us, and when we reach this age, now you're even putting God in this thing. Yet, it's Babylon that has said, at this age, you can't do this. I love what you said.
Yeah.
There are places you can't go as a Gen X, as a baby boomer.
Yes.
So when we find you there, you can't have fun.
Exactly. So,
and me, I love fun.
Yes. So one primary emotion becomes constant to keep you in your generation. Shame.
TCC?
Powerful tool.
Are you hearing that?
Shame.
Because it's only shame that can make you not go to some places. When you go, for example, you've taken your children out. Okay, if you're a baby boomer, you've taken your grandchildren out. There are things they'll be doing, and you're watching there. Something inside of you that died ages ago because of culture, because of generational trapping. Something is saying, I wish I could do that.
Yes.
So you let them do, but you're actually the one doing through them.
There you go.
I want to take you out to do this. No, I want to do it, but since I can't, let me take you guys. So you actually enjoy life through your grandfather, grandmother.
Yes. And you know how that shame comes? It comes through the echo of your generation. Let me explain the echo of your generation. All right? This is what you say, whether you're a couple, a husband saying to a wife, and God help you if you're in cross generations, because that's going to be a continuous battle.
Yes.
And the cross generations, people might not be even age, and I don't want to go into that depth today. It might be mindset.
Okay.
There are Gen Xers with boomer mindsets. So that's still, I'm talking about that thing. Now,
Yes.
here's the thing. This is how it works. You'll keep hearing this question. What will people say? Which people? Your generation.
Yeah.
Which people are you talking about? Your generation.
So this is now, we're talking about shame here.
Yes.
So you're looking at it from the point of people will think that my age group should not be doing this.
People of my age group will think that I am betraying our age group.
Oh.
Because now attempting to think different begins to feel like betrayal.
Does this matter which continent you're in?
No, it doesn't. It does not matter. Anywhere you go, it will be the same story, because why would I say it doesn't matter? It's because we experience the same history no matter what continent we were in.
Okay.
Because the leaders who led globally when I was 16 were common names to anybody who was 16 anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Right? The technology that was available when I was 16 was available everywhere in the world.
Okay.
The books that were being read, the influencers of our generation
Yes.
were generally the same. I may have had some little nuances. There shall be some customization. But the general, when you pick a Gen X from one nation to another and put them together, they will not struggle to communicate. They'll find so many common touch points that even though the experience may be slightly different, but the emotion and the activity around it will be exactly the same.
So if you talk about Gen X, let's talk about a boomer, for example.
Yes.
A boomer now saying, I want to enroll myself into a dancing class.
Yes, yes.
Many boomers will be like, why is she
Exactly.
doing that?
And then we'll come up with explanations. We'll say they are suffering from midlife crisis.
I want to dance. Listen, I want to dance.
They will start saying, listen, they don't want to dance. They missed out on dancing at
Yeah.
age.
So they're excusing you. Yet
Yeah.
you want to have fun. So does that mean also, when you talk about generational trapping,
Yes.
there's a place they tell you, when you hit this age, you and fun can never be in the
Exactly.
same group.
That's a
You
problem.
cannot have fun. Why? Because you're this age. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Exactly.
TCC. Today somebody says, you know what, we are going tomorrow to be doing 1, 2, 3 things. But when we reach there, there's a generation that will pull aside and watch the rest. In fact, do you want us to serve you tea? Do you want us to serve you lunch? Well, because we cannot.
Let me put one that is, now that you've raised it, this
Yeah.
is so funny. TCC, you know, very soon we'll have the patriarchal blessing when all those who can make it, of members of the community, we all meet face to face once a year. You know, it's funny that sometimes we'll sit there and we'll see self-locking into generations. You just walk into your space,
Yeah.
and you lock. Because this is what we of this generation do. Let's go do it together. This is what this generation do. And we think those things are normal.
Because if I walk into the patriarchal blessing,
Yes.
and I find I'm a Gen X, if I go and find Gen Zs, I'll be like, oh yes, hi,
how
get
are
to,
you?
you know,
Yes.
but I'm actually scanning, where are my age group?
Where are my people?
Where is our trap? Where are we
Yes.
trapped?
Where's our prison? This is our prison block A. I belong in prison block C.
And you take yourself to this prison.
My own.
And what you're trying to say is, we came together and we said, we know what, when you come for patriarchal blessing, listen, we will also have some entertainment, we'll have games, we'll have fun, as you know, family fun and all that. But you will be feeling like, you know what, I think that one you can call the younger people to do that.
Yes.
Why? We don't do that.
Yes.
Yet, let me tell you, and I'll say this here now, notice when we go for weddings, who are the people who enjoy doing the dance scene in a wedding more than boomers and Gen Xers?
Of
Why?
course.
Because it's like, this is the only place we are allowed.
Somebody said to them, this is immunity space.
No judgment.
No judgment.
Yeah.
This is the only place you're allowed to do it,
Yes.
and therefore do it. But the same guys won't go and do it at home. They won't go and do it anywhere else. What is even amusing for me, sometimes when in a social gathering with many people, is the prisoners who mock the free people. Let me explain.
A prisoner is mocking somebody who is free.
People are sitting and looking at, look at what they are doing. Look at those guys. At their age, how can they be laughing and jumping like
Prisoners
that?
talking.
Prisoners mocking the people who are free.
And this conversation looks normal.
No, in fact, look at how he ashames himself. Let me tell you guys a story from the Bible.
Okay.
A king had a wife. And the king decided that he was going to enjoy his dance for the Lord. His name was David. And he did stuff. Then his wife made the statement, how can you be so undignified before the people? What was the issue there? How are you shaming us?
You are a
royal.
king.
We are royal.
Yeah.
And the Bible says, and she became barren. Meaning, people who remain trapped in their generation become unfruitful.
Oh, please talk about that.
People who get trapped in their generation become unfruitful. Because David, in what he did, unlocked massive things with God. Because he had the freedom to know worshiping God, dancing and enjoying is of God. But she felt, for a king, it is unbecoming. It is the other people who should be doing this. So we will create this, listen, and now let me come to the African continent.
Okay.
We have people who are hardly 40, but their attitude, their facial expression, how they look at everybody is 70.
Why? Because they are not in that generation.
Yeah, no, they've been told that now, society has told them they are now among the mature. They're among the important people. They're among the elderly. So they grow by 40 years quickly to catch up with that label. It doesn't make sense.
So they're skipping they're leaving their own trapping and entering
another prison in advance.
Wow. In advance?
In advance. Nobody has asked
for
you
40 years.
to be there.
Yeah.
And so the problem with these things, they sound like a joke.
Yeah.
But these are the filters that make it impossible for the word to work. Because the minute God starts talking to you about some certain realities, you now begin to resist. The minute you hear new thinking, you resist. Because what's wrong with our old thinking?
Look
It used to work.
Look at us. We are okay.
It used to work. It doesn't seem broken. When you hear of new possibilities, fear. And remember what I told you. What is the power that now holds you here? Shame. What will people think? How can I start doing this thing at my age? How can I start doing this activity at my age? How can I learn this new skill at my age? How can I go and sit now and listen to the wisdom of somebody that age at my age?
So God is talking to you. God is saying something, but at my age is keeping you away from that.
Exactly.
Let's go back. You said new thinking.
Yes.
Let's talk to TCC.
Yes.
When you talk about masterclass, and it's a very good place to remind you, yeah? Masterclass is coming, okay? But when you talk about masterclass, what do you hear? We always tell you, masterclass is intense. It's deep. What are you hearing? New thinking.
Yeah.
No, I'm not ready to challenge already. I don't want to be challenged.
Yes.
Don't challenge what I know.
Yes.
Because I'm okay where I am. Why? People of my age. That could be a trap. When you hear new thinking. And I love what you said.
Yes.
New possibilities, new skills.
Yes.
At my age, why should I do
Why
this?
should I learn this new thing?
I always like talking to TCC because when you have these conversations and you say, you've been tracking us, you've been tracking the conversations, we've been talking about good quality of life.
Yes.
Could your generational trapping have kept you away from enjoying this promise of God?
Could it even be filtering what you mean
By?
good quality of life? Could that be a filter? That there are certain things that are happening around you that God is doing, but because those things sound like they are not your generation, you don't even see them. Could you be sitting in a place when you hear God is saying that people are going on holiday and you're saying, at this age,
No.
why would I be doing that? I should be thinking of legacy. Legacy and you're 45. Lega what?
Lega what? Can you spell it? People resist new instruction, new revelation. When God speaks, somebody is actually defending where they are.
Yes.
Because you're like, new instruction. No, listen, I already have an instruction.
Exactly.
Or, let me read the Bible because let me see how Esther fulfilled her instruction.
There you go.
Let me read Noah. Don't challenge me. My age does not allow.
Yes.
Now, some of you will understand. When you meet some of us. My hair will not be of my generation. Listen, if I could now, you don't know what I would do with my hair. Just to define this thing of generation.
Exactly.
I don't want to be told, you know your generation, you dress like this, you
go.
walk like this, you can only go for lunch at this place,
Yes.
you can't go on trampoline with your grandchildren. I go. I do. You should find me at the hub. I jump on those things.
Yes.
And they're fun.
Of course.
They're fun,
Of
you
course.
know?
Many of you bring your prison to the hub. You bring your own prison cell.
Yeah.
And sit there and let everybody else do things. And here you are sitting, feeling very, very aged.
Yeah. I think that is why, and you know, when you do last year's patriarchal blessing, we made everybody dance.
Oh, yes.
You have to do something, participate in something. Don't be so trapped that you come to this place where it's even written there, family fun day.
Some people here are family day.
No fun.
Fun is just
Family
edited.
fun day. We've said, come ready. You are in sneakers, you are dressed well in your tracksuits, and then you come and bring your prison and you just wear your prison and sit. And watch other people. Let me tell you, most of the time when you're in this trap, when you see there are some things you could be seen and saying, listen, I wish it was me.
Yes.
But I can't do because of my age.
There you go.
Listen.
Or who will say, or they might take a photo to show who? Your generation.
Oh, this generational thing. Please let's go back. When people are trapped, they resist.
Yes.
They resist. I want us to talk about they
Yes.
resist new thinking.
They resist new thinking.
Okay?
Because,
Let's do those things
Yes.
again. And TCC, please
Yeah.
listen to us here.
okay? Now, when you are resisting new thinking is when, okay, let's take it even the most basic level, okay? You arrange your house in a particular way. And somebody just suggests, you know what, I'm thinking, notice what did they say?
I'm thinking.
That's new thinking right there.
Uh-huh.
They are thinking. They did not even command or describe or order anything.
Any new thinking you
They
block.
just suggested, I was thinking, if you moved your picture there, it would be interesting. They are what?
Thinking.
As they go away. Now they want to instruct me in my house. They want to change the way things have always
No,
been.
I'm
Have I not always been like this?
resisting new thinking.
Listen, they did not say do it. They just introduced a thought they have.
And does tell you, they do not resist new thinking. You resist.
That's it.
Well, we are talking about resisting new possibilities.
Yes.
Why? Because when we say that good quality of life, in this place you will hear the word of God. It might open your eyes to new possibilities, new skills, new road. And you know, we've talking about the road,
Yes.
but new possibilities makes
Yes.
you.
Makes you run
back, yeah.
immediately because to you possibilities spell a big word, risk. Possibilities mean losing everything. Possibility means the end of the known, the end of my comfort. That's what you hear, but you will defend it very wisely. You will defend it even by manufacturing people who have failed. When you hear this new idea, where have you seen, do you know those things never work? You don't even have information. What you're actually fighting is you're resisting being moved from your current possibility
Yeah.
to a new possibility.
Resisting new instructions. When we ask you, what have you heard? You're like, heard. Now, this hearing means new instruction. I've not heard anything. Let me work on the old one. I've not heard a new one.
No, in fact, many times when you ask, what have you heard, you hear offense. Why are you judging me?
What are you asking?
Why are you attacking me? No. What have you heard? Since you seemed like you were listening.
Yeah.
You seemed like you were nodding your head and agreeing with me. And some of you, even in the WhatsApp group, you're giving me an emoji, showing me power. Then I say, okay.
What have
It
you
means
heard?
you heard something.
Yes.
What have you heard? Heard.
Why? You are resisting new instructions. I don't want God to tell me what to do. For example, we already said GQL. Yes. And you know when you talk about GQL, good quality of life, you must have an instruction.
Exactly.
You must have something where you putting your hands on. In other words, your work. What are you doing? So if you get an instruction and you're like, you know what, I'm working, yes, but what I'm doing, it's not producing. So a new instruction will now take me to another place where I have to start all over again. I don't want. But when God talks to you, he's telling you, listen, it doesn't matter. I talked to Abraham at what age? Go and check. I talked to so-and-so. I talked to so-and-so. You have so many people in the Bible, young and old, and we'll be looking at that.
Yeah.
You resist new revelation. And now, you defend your limitation.
In fact, that's how you resist those things. Because you keep defending your limitations. And why are you doing that? Because, let me tell you, when your mind has accepted an age bracket as an identity, it now masters how to live in that space and becomes comfortable there. So when you reach comfort, you're not even aware that you'd rather be comfortable than transformed. You would rather be comfortable than be transformed. Now you reach a place where, you know what, why are you trying to change what we always do? Hasn't it always worked? Listen, guys, God doesn't upgrade you because the last thing did not work. He upgrades you because there is more than you know.
So if you're in a good space,
yes,
and God is calling you to a higher place,
exactly,
sometimes you feel like, no, I don't want a new instruction. I don't want anything else to shake
yes,
what I have here because this is beautiful. God
exactly,
is telling you, my son, there is more to life than what you've just experienced.
Yes.
No matter how beautiful the place you are, there's more in God.
Yes.
And settling for what you have seen is just shortchanging yourself.
It's true.
That's why Romans 12:2 says, listen, renew your mind. Do not be conformed. Conformed to what?
Yeah.
To generational trapping.
Exactly. And you see, the problem with that generational trapping is it works like this. When you're in a generational trapping, you only change what is broken.
Oh.
As long as nothing has failed and nothing has broken, in your mind, we do not need to move from here. We need to defend it with our life. But when something breaks, it's the only time you choose to change. Now, Scripture doesn't work like that. In fact, Romans 12:2 has to be understood differently.
Okay.
When he said, do not be conformed to this world, to our listeners today, do not be conformed to your generation. Because
so when you talk about
this world for you.
Yes, I was going to say, when he says this world, don't
Yes.
look for many things. Look at your generation.
Yes.
Just ask yourself, yes, when I look at who am I? I'm a millennial. What have they said about millennials? What have they said about Gen Zs? Don't be conformed to what they have said, because that's a mold.
Don't receive that
They have
identity.
poured you into a mold called
Yes.
Gen Z. Don't be conformed. And when you talk about transformation, it makes you not a different person, but it is your mindset that is broken. And now you do not use the mindset of the world.
Yes.
You now take kingdom understanding of who am I, what's my identity, what's my purpose, what are the promises of God for my life, and that's what is now dictating your life.
Listen.
Not the molds of the world.
Yes, we can assure you, we were born in the Gen X era.
But
We have got 0 Gen X in our blood.
of course, those who know us, there are some people who are close to us, you know, we do not have any
We don't
trappings
conform
of
to Gen X.
No, we don't.
We do not, because that is a trap and a limitation that is conforming to an identity that was simply a description. So instead of something that was supposed to be a suggestion or an idea of trying to classify an age group just because, and it's not a bad thing to be classified according to your experiences.
Okay.
According to the timeline you lived, to better understand the world you lived in. But to use those experiences as a program that is now being written in your mind and locking into it, now that is a false identity.
For example, they'll tell you, Gen X, they're cynical, they're detached.
Yes.
Okay? Boomers are rigid, they are resistant to change. You know, and they put it like, I mean, this is the trap. You know, when you talk
Yes.
about this thing, it's not simple. When you talk about Gen Z, you're told you're distracted, you're rebellious, you're impatient, you're entitled. Look at that. It's not beautiful, but this is where people live.
No.
Millennials, emotionally fragile.
Yes.
Millennials are also entitled.
Yes. Yes.
Please.
And the problem now is that once you've had that label, you actually use it as your crutch. Use it as your protection. Now, wait a minute. Let's try and look at some of those labels and where they were gotten from based on what. Okay? What do they say about boomers?
The boomers are rigid and resistant to change.
Now, you must understand that boomers lived in a history time when nothing changed for a long time. Okay?
Yes.
So, if somebody worked in an organization, he worked there for 50 years.
Yes.
Until he retired. Those
they
things
were-
were running
and
in
they
a
were
certain
proud.
way that nothing needed to change
Yes.
at all, because society, generally, everything was operating like that. Governments were stable, things were stable, so their life environment, when they got conformed, when you get conformed, these labels are true.
Oh, yes.
When you're conformed to your generation, what happened to you now becomes you.
But remember, when we are saying that, for example, the boomers are rigid and they are resistant to change, for example, what you are saying here,
Yes.
we are saying if you're a boomer listening to us, ask yourself, is that true?
Is it true?
That means you're conformed. And you need to be transformed. That's why the Bible is talking about
There you are.
renew your mind.
There you are.
Why? Because you have a mind set. When you say
Exactly.
mindset, you're saying it is set on this program.
Yes.
You're rigid. Change, you do not accept change.
Yes, in fact, maybe the best way to put it so that many of you will get the weight of it. Your generational label is your stronghold. That's what you call a stronghold.
We'll talk about Gen X and being cynical and detached.
Yes. You see, they say Gen X is cynical and detached because Gen X grew up in a generation where most of our parents were the first generation, those baby boomers, who went away to work.
Okay?
All right? So their attachment to their children was via sending them to school. So Gen X did not grow close to their parents because the structure of most, and this is huge in Africa and probably everywhere in Commonwealth nations, wherever that is that the work ethic was introduced, where parents left in the morning, went to work, and came in the evening. All right? And so what happened to children? They went to school, and they came in the evening. So the kind of relationships they built were relationships that changed a lot. So the people I went to school with in this school changed, the age time changed, the brackets changed. So I had no bonding model. Okay?
Yeah.
Because my school friends were not my home friends, unless we were neighbors. All right? And so I had so many identities I built. There were friends I built during the school holiday. There were friends I built in school. There was my parents who came. Then there were my relatives.
Yes.
So there was no singular, focused, attached environment. So what happens to you if you grow in that space? You don't have a big deal about building long-term attachments. Then that's, if you fall into that trap and you do not realize it's a problem and you choose to make a shift and change it by developing quality relationships, then you are conformed.
Well, let's check the molds that the world has given us.
Yeah.
Millennials, if you're watching us and you're a millennial, this is
Yes.
what they say. This is the mold that they give you.
Yes.
Emotionally fragile
Yes.
and entitled. That's now a
Yes.
millennial. That's a mold.
Yes.
You should not be fitting there.
Yes.
So if you hear this and you're like, wait a minute, is that me? Are they talking about me? Meaning,
Yes.
I've been molded already.
Yes.
I refuse that. Gen Z, distracted, rebellious, impatient. Can you imagine that's the mold that somebody is giving you and you're there saying, I'm a Gen Z and I cannot change. In fact, those millennials, those Gen Xers,
Yes.
listen,
Yes,
you're being
and-
told your mold
and-
is such a, in fact, I think for the Gen
Yes.
Z, it's a,
Now let's
terrible.
look at two scenarios.
Yeah.
Quick scenarios to explain this scenario. Where we talk about the millennials being
Emotionally
the most emotionally fragile. Now, if you think about it, take the Gen X, who was the general parent of the millennial and
Millennials.
so on. The millennial was born in a generation when the world was having the most amount of change in terms of advancement. All right? And they entered the era of toys. They entered the era of entertainment. They entered the era of all those things. So a lot of their expressions were in an image society where those things really grew up. And because of that, the Gen X parent and the baby boomer parent of that generation did everything to make their life easier. Now, by making their life easier, they began to have this dichotomy between things and emotions. So they began to connect that when I have a thing, I'm okay. If I don't have a thing, something is wrong with me. And what my friends think about the things I have, do you begin to see something being built around that? That's why you build that fragile relationship. You're always trying to prove yourself. You always want to be accepted. You always want to, because you have things, but you do not have bonding. And you only bond through things.
well, I'm not sure that's how God called us to be. And you can't renew your mind that is still attached to a false identity that you're given by Babylon, that you're given a mold and you're told this is where you fit. They poured you in. You can't transform while protecting the box. You can't transform while protecting the mold. You can't transform while saying, no, listen, this is us. And this is how we are. This is how I am. This is how I was brought up. It's a mold. That's why many hear truth but don't change. The identity trap blocks renewal. So when we call you and tell you there's a mind gym,
Yes.
there's a masterclass, now use this message to ask yourself, will I attend? Why do I attend, or why don't I attend?
Yes.
You might find yourself trapped here. Why? I'm resisting new knowledge.
Yes.
I'm resisting new instructions. I'm resisting change. I don't want you to tell me about my mind. I'm okay where I am. I'm comfortable, you know? So when you talk about masterclass or
Yes,
mind gym,
yes.
that's why you're talking about mind renewal all the time.
In fact,
you know?
part of the problem is if you come to the master class or the mind gym wanting to become a better Gen X or a better millennial, give me the tools to improve the quality of my prison. No. Every person who became great, whether spiritually, whether socially, whether scientifically, whether politically, they have one thing in common. They broke from their generational mold. Every single one. You go study history.
Yes.
Go look at anyone you want to look at in any of the areas I've spoken about. One of the things you will find that their mannerisms, their operations, their thinking, their functionality broke with what was classified as their generation. They refused to fit in.
You have to ask yourself, TCC, what have they said about my generation, and what am I going to do different from what they have said? Why? For you to do something different, you are stretching and breaking the mold.
Yes.
You are stretching and saying, I'm not going to be conformed to this world. What is your world, like you said?
Yeah, yeah.
That's your world.
That's your world.
How are you going to get out of that mold? By breaking out of what they have said,
Yes.
what they expect you to do, what they expect you to have, what they expect you to, how they expect you to think. You're breaking the mold. You're destroying the patterns that you've been given, you know, and that is homework.
Yes.
Anyone
that's
who
homework.
wants to change,
Yeah, and
you want to
that's
be
really-
transformed.
That's really, if you want to know what drives us. What drives us, when we talk about mind renewal, we talk about mind gym, we talk about the butterfly, our logo.
Yes.
We are saying, refuse to accept your bracket. God, when God speaks, and you guys have heard me preach this umpteen times, when God found Gideon, he did not acknowledge Gideon's mold. He was threshing wheat in the winepress. He did not deal with that. He called him Gideon, mighty man of valor. He refused to acknowledge the position Gideon was functioning from, but he introduced to Gideon the position he belongs in. And so if then you'll understand, why do we do the master classes? Why do we do the mind gyms? And incidentally, we are coming up with the last mind gym of the year. And I'm almost feeling like imitating a certain president. It's going to be big. I'm telling you, this is the thing, because we want to break something that as you go into rest into your holiday, you can't come out the same way in the coming year. Something has to change.
Yes.
In our master classes, as we are culminating the last few going down, some of you know we've gone deep and we've gone hard. Why? Because the outcome of this, we believe we have a generation listening that is willing to not be conformed, that is not going to be pigeonholed into any generation, but is going to function based on what God called them to do. I want you to go study the biblical heroes and look at how they defied their age brackets. Every single one of them, their functionality was in defiance to their age bracket.
Well,
and that's our call.
That's why in TCC you always hear us talking about the mind. Why? Because if you can break the mind the setting where you have tuned your mind, things will be different.
Yep.
If you come and say, you know what, I'll think differently. I will question the norms. I will refuse stereotypes.
Yes.
Because when people say Gen Xers think like, I will refuse it. I will not accept what men have said.
Yes.
But I'll question, why am I doing what I am doing? And that's why we are saying in TCC, let's do this homework. Everybody ask yourself, what have they said about our age group? And we are going to post this in the group again. We'll show you those and then ask yourself, am I this? Is this how I behave? Is this how I think? Is this how I judge life? And then you say, you know what? I'm breaking the mold. Stretch yourself. Stretch yourself. Take the word and say, the word of God has said something different. My identity in God is different from what men have called me. Therefore, I am going to break. I'm going to do something that will tell me that truly I have broken, because breaking is eternal.
Yes.
Remember, you're talking about the mind. Breaking
Yes.
is eternal.
Yes.
But what we see, how do we know you've broken? But when you see what you do externally.
There you go.
You know, that's why we say kingdom conversations, they're always fun. Heaven is fun. It's not boring. God is telling you, you are the one who is making your life boring, not me. I have called you and I have said you will live and you will enjoy. In fact, there's a scripture that talks about when you work, the labor, the work that you have done.
Yes, to him who is
My
able
friend,
to enjoy the fruit of his labor, it is a gift from God.
you will work, you will enjoy. Now, enjoy is not eating. Because many think God meant you will eat. No, eating you will. But there's something called enjoying.
Yes.
You will do something that tells you there's something that died when I was young. There's something that died in me when I was growing up. There's something that died when I got married, because they said, you know what? Married people behave like this. There's something that died in me when I got a child, when I got my children, because they said when you have children, this is how you behave. There's something that died when I became a Christian. Why? They said Christians must behave like this. My friend, we are saying break those molds. Just break it.
And
you
by
know?
breaking the mold,
Yeah.
today let's finish by saying, may you be found outside
Yes.
of the mold of your generation.
Wow, that's powerful. And that's why we say keep it kingdom,
Keep it
keep it
pure.
pure.